Okay, so today we're going to go a little bit over setting up for corrugated cuts. Now there's a couple of different things that you do have to do before you get started with that. One of the first things here is we set this THC speed to 80. So I actually click on it, type in the number, and you notice that it's highlighted there. I go 80 and I hit enter. By hitting enter, it locks in that numeric value so that it allows you to adjust the THC at 80. Now our THC speed is going to be regulated by our motor tuning. So I'm actually going to zoom out here a little bit, and we're actually going to go up to our config menu. So we're going to go to config, motor tuning, and if you have the new Z-axis with the aluminum billet head there, you're going to go to your Z-axis and actually set it for 40 inches a minute. The new Z-axis is rated for 40 IPM, and that being the case, we'll be able to keep up with what the THC needs, because there's a couple of rules there, and we'll go over that in a minute. Also, our steps per here is listed here if you would like. It's 32,111.09174. That is the up-to-date steps per for the most accurate Z-axis motion on our machine. Go ahead and use that. We have an acceleration of 10 inches or 10 inches per second or 10 inches per second squared. We make sure that we hit save axis setting, we hit OK, and now our Z-axis is set and our THC speed is set. And that's how we set things up initially. The other thing that I'd recommend adjusting is down here at the bottom right hand side of the screen is THC min speed. I would actually bring that up to 100, or actually no, I would actually bring that down to 80 is a good number. I would bring that down even further. That's just the minimum speed that a minimum percentage of the speed necessary for the THC to be activated. So what we're saying is, if the speed is 75% lower than the actual feed rate, then turn off the THC, because the slower you go, it's going to change your THC setting. I would set it at 75 for this case. The next part of this process, and depending on the thickness of the material, you're going to have to play around with this. I'm using 16 gauge aluminum, so I'm going to be adjusting my hypertherm for that. So I'm going to go just change my angle here. Perfect. Okay, let's take a look at that. Now, right now the system is set for 30 amps as opposed to the 45 amps that I would typically run this. I have it turned down for this thickness of material, because in order to cut properly, I'm going to have to slow the system down, because as it's moving across the, let's say at a 45-degree angle, if you have a 45-degree angle piece like what we have currently on the table here, if you have anything like this, the speed of its sideways motion, so as it's moving across this way, cannot be faster than the machine's ability to go down or to go up. So 40 inches is the max speed that the Z-axis go up and down, so we can't move left or right any faster than 40 inches a minute on a 45-degree angle. So that's just something to take into consideration when getting this all set up. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to one last thing, and that's going to be the general setup on the corrugated. One thing that we do is we hold these two buttons down and we go to HYS. I have mine set to 4. It seems to give the machine the best response for moving up and down without having, let's say if it was at 6, it would lag even further and cause the tip to either crash up into the material. There'll be issues present at 0.6. And that's just what I would call the reactive field. So when it says 6, it means there's 3 volts up, 3 volts down leeway for the machine to then read and adjust the height. So if it goes 3 above, it says, hey, go down. If it goes 3 below, it says go up. We want that a little bit tighter because we want really rapid response. The only negative to this particular setup is you are going to see a micro bit of sawtooth motion or sawing motion with the Z-axis. It will go slightly up and down with the different variations in the material. So just be mindful of that. If you see a sawing motion, that is a normal function of this particular THC as we're dialing it in further to the materials that we're working with. That being said, use these basic settings, and I will also say one other thing is also check your DT. I have it at 0.2. This is the delay time, or the time necessary, the time between when the plasma starts to the time the THC takes over, and you want that to be a short reaction time. But of course, this is all based on whatever material that you're using. So keep that in mind. I set mine to 0.2. It's recommended in this case until we have a new set of tools available. So check that out.